Hello, friends. Welcome to the first episode of 6Success podcast. My name is Hossein Tootoonchy, and I am your host today. Our goal at 6Success is to talk to startup founders who have built successful startups and show you what it really takes to dream and execute your ideas and ultimately change your world and others. Today, I had the privilege to talk to Ms. Solmaz Piri, one of the founders of Virtual Medtrainer, a VR-based startup company in Canada, developing surgery scenarios, and I cannot wait to introduce her to you. In this episode, we're going to talk about the startups, the foundation of building one, the challenges, the immigration, and the startup visa program, and we're going to hear from her, her take on the entrepreneurship and building a startup. With that said, please help me welcoming Ms. Solmaz Piri. Hi, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. For a very long time, we actually wanted to start this podcast and invite founders like you to this startup, and we're very excited to have you here today.
First of all, thank you very much for your kind invitation. And also thank you very much for organizing such an interesting program and having me here.
Thank you. It's our pleasure. So please start introducing yourself, the startup that you have, the Virtual Medtrainer. And I understand that you have like 4 founders in your startup, and they're not here today. So we just take on this as you are the representative of the company. And so just start introducing.
Yeah, as you said earlier on, my name is Solmaz Piri. I am a gynecologist, obstetrician, and I also have a fellowship in fetal medicine from Fetal Medicine Foundation in London. I am the CEO and one of the founders of Virtual Medtrainer. My other co-founders are Dr. Negar Salek, who is the managing director of our company, Mr. Masood Mehrparvar, who is the Chief Financial Officer of our company, and Mr. Mohammad Ali Mirsani, who is the Technical Manager of Virtual Medtrainer. As you said, we are a Canadian startup company, and we are producing virtual reality-based interactive laparoscopic surgery training scenarios.
That's great. Thank you very much. So what is a startup actually? So you mentioned that you are developing like surgery scenarios. Explain what are those like scenarios and why they're useful.
Yeah. Actually, being trained as a surgeon is a very long journey. So all doctors more or less know that it's a difficult, let's say, pathway. And it's also difficult to teach new people to master surgery techniques. The main reason is that learning on a live patient is not quite safe. So it is risky for the patient. It's also very stressful for the trainee because when you are supposed to do something for the first time on a patient, and you already know that you are not very good in that techniques, and you might make mistakes, which is harmful for that person. It is quite stressful. It is also very much difficult for the person, for the, let's say, consultant supervising you, because, they don't have full control, and they know that there is always some risks. So this is the difficulties. But on the other hand, it's also very expensive because, people need to get into medical schools, and studying medicine by itself is a very, let's say, expensive field of study. It is also has other, let's say, constraints, like people need to learn surgery in traditional method only in the operating theaters. So it is bound to operating theater schedule and also, to the place. So it can't be learned anywhere. But over the years, there have been different solutions. People try to learn on plastic mannequins. They try to learn on cadavers and other methods. But nowadays, by emerging virtual reality solutions, we have other options. So virtual reality interactive scenarios offer a safe environment which is not bound to specific time and place, and in a stress-free and risk-free environment, the trainee can practice as many times as he or she wishes. And when he or she starts real surgery on a live patient, he or she doesn't have to start from the 0 point in his or her learning curve. It means that he starts at some more advanced point when he starts the first real surgery. And this is what, helps in all areas of problem and difficulty that I explained.
I see. That's very interesting. Actually, for someone like me that's not familiar with, surgical procedures and all those things, and it's very scary looking at it, outside. And you mentioned that getting trained on being a surgeon from somebody who's not like a medical student, how does that process work? Like at university, you get trained on, live patients, and I assume that it's very stressful for trainers to allow people with less skills to actually operate on people. So I'm curious to know, how does it work right now in the world?
Actually, you're quite right. And in different parts of the world, so it works differently, obviously. I can speak about my own experience. When I started doing surgeries, it was like quite traditional. So for the first time, when somebody goes to learn surgery, he or she starts like an aide, like a surgeon's aide. So they observe what the surgeons do for quite a few times. And then they start from the simple steps in surgery. And then step by step, they are given more tasks to do, let's say. This is how it works, traditionally. But always, when you start something for the first time, for example, I can tell you there are very simple biopsy methods where we use specific needles to insert, for example, in different parts of the body of the patient. Even if you have seen it before for 100 or 200 times, when for the first time you are going to insert the needle into the abdomen or tummy of a patient, I can't really define that feeling, because it is quite scary, because you have never experienced it before. So it happens frequently that you do it by you think you are very precise. You insert the needle, and then suddenly you just don't see it if it is in the right place or not. And this is, you just feel that surge of, let's say, adrenaline in your body, just your palpitation, and you feel your heart beating. Was it right or was it wrong? And know that it can harm the patient. And the first pillar of medicine is do no harm. So obviously we would like to produce benefit for the patients. But before doing benefit, before making a good task, you have to make sure that you do no harm. And this is important. And this was one of my very main, let's say, motives, where I thought that it's really useful to produce new innovative methods, because even the mannequins, even the old skill labs in different universities, they don't give the feeling that you have on a body, let's say on a body of the patient.
Right.
So by new techniques, obviously, if you can approach, if you can produce nature, the real body, obviously it is more useful for this
like
kind of training.
Exactly, like
Yeah,
simulate the same experience that a surgeon will have inside the theater. And
yeah, exactly.
I mean, like I understand that even there are a lot of simulated environments, apps, and applications out there that people can download and do surgery training right now. But I understand the innovative part of your application is actually the interaction between the hardware and software that you have developed, and basically there's like a needle, a simulated needle that when you insert it on any surface, does not have to be a mannequin or a live person, any surface, it can simulate the insertion, the different thicknesses of the body, like the skin has a different reaction to the needle, the muscle can have a different reaction. So elaborate on that, because I'm not very familiar with that section, but as a surgeon, like, is it the innovative part that your startup has introduced to the world?
Yes, actually, that's true, because virtual reality has been in the field for quite a few years, and as many of our audience must probably know, virtual reality gives only visual feedback. But
Mhm.
surgery, a great part of the surgery is muscle memory and touch feedback. So this is what virtual reality per se lacks. That's why we just thought that we might be able to give sort of touch feedback to the trainees. And this is why we designed a hardware bit to help us with this matter, and with new technology it is possible. It is we just combined two methods, and we just decided that plastic mannequins, or even the ones with silicone or other materials that are available already on the market, they're much different with the live patient. So we are experiencing, and we are trying to design a hardware which gives real sort of touch feedback to the user. But because we are in the process of registering our patent,
Of
if
course.
you would let me, I wouldn't go into more details, but I hope in near future we can disclose more details, we can show our hardware, hopefully, and then, yeah, we will go ahead.
Of course. Actually, I wanted to mention that I understand that you've applied for a patent on this, and congratulations to you. And it's very exciting because, I've come across multiple surgery simulated environments, and like you said, they're all virtual, they're applications, and when it comes to operating on a real live patient, that would be really risky, and it in my opinion, it doesn't train somebody who's not trained in a surgery to be competent in that area without having a live touch or feedback mechanism in place. So that's very exciting, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last podcast we're going to have. So we're looking forward to having you again and seeing the development there. So was it the motivation behind your development? Like, how was your own training when you started to be a surgeon? Was it available for you at the university to do operation on live patients, or how did you pick up that skill?
Yeah, in terms of surgery, actually, in terms of surgeries are done with different methods. So the classic form of surgery is an open surgery. So when you do when you just would like to do a surgery on the tummy of the
Hmm.
patient, you open the layers layer by layer, and you try to produce a field for yourself wide enough to see different organs inside the tummy.
Right.
But with new methods emerging, like keyhole surgery, where instruments are applied through very small incisions in tummy,
Hmm.
like 1 centimeter from the umbilicus, and then the instruments go inside, and by using a camera, you do surgeries. So the good thing for the patient is that you don't see big incisions on the abdomen after you finish the surgery, and the recovery time is very, very fast. But the difficult part for the surgeon is that the first instruments need to be inserted without direct vision. And this is some part that our solution tries to help the surgeons. This kind of surgery that I'm speaking about is quite difficult in the very early stages of learning, let's say. But with virtual reality and augmented reality, this issue can be addressed to some extent. And I hope little by little we go forward and we can help trainees learning this very delicate step. After the first instrument has been inserted and the camera has been in place, then again the trainee or the surgeon has a direct vision and they can avoid harming the organs inside the abdomen. But the very first instruments are scary to insert.
Scary.
Yeah.
Oh, I assume, yeah. And I mean, another point that you mentioned that was very interesting from the business perspective of this startup is reducing the cost, because it's very costly and not always available for doctors or students to experience that kind of surgery. But with this digitalization of the experience, sort of say, everybody can download the program and experience it even at home, and unlimited times, in different scenarios, different rooms with patients. And that's I think that's a very interesting point. And reducing the cost, it will attract a lot of universities to adapt this system, because currently with the cost attached to these kind of experiences, I mean, a lot of students and medical centers will skip such experiences for their students. And as a surgeon, like you said, you have to learn the muscle memory attached to these kind of skills. And I think that's a very interesting point that your startup solves.
I would say, that's true, because as you said, it's a very expensive kind of training. Everybody knows about the price of, becoming a doctor in different parts of the world. The thing is, as I mentioned, our vision, that we are just producing these scenarios to help with the problems I mentioned before. But our long-term vision actually is to produce sort of scenarios that, as you said, can have different types. So the full package obviously goes to medical schools and university hospitals. But there can be simpler versions, obviously even more affordable, that, I mean, any single person can download or can buy with a low price, let's say, and then they can start practicing. So I always remember some very exciting points that one of the great epidemiologists of the world, named Professor Marmot, said. He says, if you are living in a developed country, you can go for cutting-edge technology. So this is our solution can offer the high-ranked medical school. So the cutting-edge technology with visual and touch feedback. If you're living in a middle-income country, try to do what you already do better. And this is again what we can offer with some let's say, features of our product. And if you're living, or if you are trying to offer low-resource countries a product, try to do something. Try to make the situation better. And this is, again, possible with our solution, with different versions of our solution. So this is our long-term vision, to do something for every country, for every university.
Oh, that's very interesting. So making accessible for every a spectrum of possible students, clients, and medical centers to actually take advantage of this technology. That's very interesting. Yeah, so looking forward to hear more about it once you're done with the hardware development. Um, on another note, as an entrepreneur, I want to take on your understanding of a successful company. And was this a startup, something that you thought it would be in the beginning, or it morphed into something that is today? Uh, just explain, like, for somebody who is thinking of starting a startup right now, or a company, they have an idea and they wanted to start it. What does the journey look like?
Yeah, it is as you very truly mentioned, it is a journey. So you have to be prepared when you go for a journey. You think of things that you will need in your journey. Obviously, you have to pack your suitcase. So
Of course.
it is more or less like that. So when you start, I think even for a journey, you have to gather some information about the place you go and about things like weather, temperature, type of clothes, other things. So again, it is a process of learning in the beginning.
Hmm.
I mean, I would say in all steps of the journey, but especially in the beginning. So you start with, I started with an intense learning, taking into account that I have a medical background. So I just, we took part in our incubators intense program, which was a mini MBA-like program. It was quite helpful, and then but we didn't actually finish there. We started uh, taking part in different webinars. It was obviously the COVID era, and the good thing about COVID era was that there were a lot of such easy to access opportunities to learn. And I'm really pleased, and I'm very privileged, let's say, to have very good mentors like yourself, like mentors of Spark Center, and we just started our social pages, and we got in contact with very useful and, let's say, friendly persons in the field. And I learned, I really have to confess that I learned something from everyone. And it was like very small pieces of puzzle. And I'm still, obviously, I'm in the, I still consider myself in the early part of this journey, and I'm just trying to complete this puzzle. But it is very helpful. I think every little bit of information is a small bit of knowledge and hopefully power in the future. And I think it's very important. And I would also like to mention a quote, a very famous quote. It says, the, I mean, this is just this is not the exact sentence, but I would like to mention it. It says, the new skill of the future is to be able to learn, relearn, and unlearn. So this is
Hmm.
something very important. So for uh, those among your audience who would like to start such a journey, I would say this is very important, or at least it was the very important bit for me to be ready for this type of journey. Because a startup is quite different from other types of companies. So it is designed to grow, and it is
Hmm.
designed to scale. It is not like a small business. So this is different. You have to learn, you have to grow, you have to enter a big market. The market is big, but you don't have to be very famous to enter. But you have to have this kind of skill. Otherwise, unfortunately, there are just, there is not a place for somebody with a very traditional type of thinking, I would say, or somebody who would like to continue the method he or she used to use 5 years ago. Yeah, and we have to be ready because we have to be ready to learn new techniques and new innovations that the market will need in the future, especially in the post-COVID era.
I cannot agree more. I thank you very much. I cannot agree more. Like the ability, a skill to adapt to new situations, it's critical for startups. And I'm sure you know that like startups in natural form, they fail about like 99%. And being able to adapt to that and overcome the situation and the challenges that are in their ways is critical. And well, congratulations to you. And just I will throw this that not only you graduated from the Spark Center, which is one of the incubators that would have a very detailed program, but you also graduated from the Y Combinator incubation center in the United States, which again is amazing. And for those who don't know who is the Y Combinator, they're the incubation center behind most of the successful huge companies in the world, like DoorDash, like Stripe, like Uber, and every bit of like huge giants in the United States, the companies that are very successful and running the businesses online, they've been part of this incubation center. And that, I think, tells a lot about your startup and the potential that Virtual Med Trainer has for the future. So again, congratulations on that. With last part, I wanted to touch base on Visa Startup Program, and because it is something that a lot of people have heard about it, or they're considering how to utilize this tool or this path in order to be able to immigrate to another country and then start their company. So can you just elaborate a little bit about what is the startup program and what's your experience or take on this?
Of course. The Startup Visa Program is a program offered by IRCC for startup companies to be part of, as a part of immigration process. The startup companies can register in Canada, and they can plan and they can launch their product in Canada, and after they get the visa, they have to actually do the most part of the business in Canada. The good thing about startup program is that the people who would like to apply, they have to be registered with a body, with a designated body by IRCC. They can be angel investors, they can be venture capitals, or they can be incubators. So it depends on about what person chooses what path and is compatible with what path. So the important thing is that to have a clear business plan. This is very, very much important, and a clear idea of what these people want to do. So obviously, it is very important to have a good developer. So they have to set their milestones, they have to set their goals, they have to take into consideration that every product in the modern world of startups needs to be continuously iterated with the use of potential customers. So when people choose their founders, it is of utmost importance to choose right people. Mm-hmm. So basically, it is usually a combination of technical and non-technical founders. And the good thing about being part of this program is that when you have an idea which you are really passionate about, you can actually develop it by the help of others. But when you don't have a business background, or when you lack a technical background, for example, I'm speaking about myself. When I started as a doctor, I just, step by step, I recognized the importance of having and changing my mindset to this type of mindset. What technical people can help and what business people can help. And those are fundamental parts of a startup. So these kinds of thoughts makes a plan successful. When you want to present it to the incubator or to the investor, you have to defend your proposal somehow. And this is actually what helps you if you have a very clear business plan. And then you have to obviously to think about your type of funding, your type of promotion, and you have to be very clear about everything. It's like any other thing. I mean, it's like building a a construction. So you do a step-by-step approach, you have a time scale, and you have a funding program,
Right.
which is important.
Yeah, you start like a foundation first, and then you build on top of that. And you're right. It's very important for people to understand that launching a startup, it requires different types of a skill. You need to be a business person, you need to be a technical person, but rarely there is anybody that has all those skills together. And that comes the importance of having a right partner in the business. And also with the complexity and the challenges of building applications today, it's very normal that founders, envision the product or the application and then try to outsource it to developers to help them build it with the much higher quality and faster, so they can reach the market and do it. So it's just a lot of people think that they have to learn those skills right now themselves. They need to be coder. They need to be people that can design and develop. And that's very good if you have the time and the energy to learn those skills. But it's always good to reach out to other people that can help you with that and put you in the right direction. Like you mentioned that the purpose of the incubators and the Y Combinator or the Spark, they introduce you to different people that could actually help you facilitate the process as much as possible. And not knowing and not asking for help during your startup program may very well put you in a position that you either run out of money or run out of resources or motivation to continue it. So I cannot agree more with you on that. Thank you so much. Do you have anything to share with our audience at the end about yourself, about the startup, your experience, your suggestion?
Yeah, actually, I would like to add that for me, the good thing about startup is that, first of all, I was very passionate about my own startup. So this is what keeps me moving, let's say. And the second thing is that it's like any other exciting journey. So sometimes you came across quite a brand new experience, which is well worth it, let's say. So it is exciting, to be honest, for me, or at least it was like that for me. And also, I think I would also like just to rephrase an advice of a friend of mine who told me, when you approach your middle ages, then you have to invest. It's not enough to be, people just, life is like you go to the university, you acquire some skills, and you start work. Or at least as a doctor, you do like that. But when you become experienced and you are at the middle of your career, perhaps if you are an innovative and open mind person, it's the right time to invest. So I would advise people like myself really to experience this journey, because if you don't take it at a suitable time and then you enter your retirement period and you let's say you approach the end of your career, then I would say it's a bit late. Although people are advised to start investing or to start doing startups at any age, but I would say there's a suitable age for that. So I think it's very exciting, and it is well worth that you take this opportunity and you try it. it's quite advisable and it is quite exciting.
That's so true. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us, and we cannot wait to have you in future episodes and share more about your company and technology, which is solving a big problem in medical field. So thank you again, and looking forward to talking to you. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much.
So.